taught primary, everything from kind of reception to year 6, so kind of 4-year-olds to 11-year-olds. That's kind of been my background for the last 11 years. As of September, I started working for Smart directly, doing professional development, going around helping training teachers, because it's exactly that scenario of, isn't it a great board? We've spent all this money, we've got this kit, but we're not using it, so what's the point? You might as well just get it. And that was my big bugbear. So kind of hoping to use my experience and roadworks just to support you. So it's very much, this is completely up to you how we go with it. I'll try and do a general overview so we've got somewhere to go from, but feel free to chip in as much as we possibly can, because essentially it's here for you. What I would say, I've put kind of my contact details, Smart's contact details from that. I'll leave these slides for you as well. There's a nice simple web link for you. So if there's any questions, whatever, about anything to do with Smart stuff or computers or whatever, please email me. Please, I'm on Twitter as well, just for literally for this purpose, to try and help support you with those little questions, or if it's a little video you want me to point you, because there's loads of stuff online as well. The reason why I've put the social media stuff on there as well is because Smart are massive. I think there's more than 2 million global teachers using it. So the fact that it is such a big, wide user base, that someone will be there that's probably created that lesson for you, or they'll help you with this. And because it's a global thing, probably someone's going to be awake at some point when you're trying to plan, and they'll be able to help you with that question as well, which is really good. And that's a really good community to kind of build that professional learning network, rather than just in our community, build it as big as possible. And that was kind of my way into Smart. So effectively, it is just a whiteboard, and it's just a touch screen. So going back to that pointer with the Promethean one, did it have a projector as well with your old Promethean as well? So some of those boards, the actual touch itself, you couldn't use your finger. So the Promethean boards, you had to pick up a pen, and that's the way you interacted with it. So if you wanted a pointer, you selected a pointer. If you wanted a pen, you selected a pen. With this board here, it's essentially just a giant mouse. So where you touch, it just touches wherever it is. If you wanted to open up a file, just clicking on your files, and it will just open that from just touch. Or same with the web browser, you can just click in it. So the whole point is it's a teaching tool. So you're here, rather than having to move a mouse at the side or type at the side, it's just up here. And then you can interact that just as normal, same with the mouse. It's also got the pens at the front. So if you pick up a pen, you just start writing with a pen. And that one's black, surprisingly, and surprise, surprise, that one's a red one. And they can just annotate over the top of anywhere within your whole document. So if you've got a Word document, you could pick up a pen and write over it. If you've got a PowerPoint, pick up a pen and start writing over it.
You don't have to open anything up for it.
That's it just works. That's the whole point of it. It's easy to use, rather than when I've taught one Promethean ones, I've had to think, oh, I have a pen, I need to change this to a writing pen, now I need to change it to a rubber, because I want to rub something out. So the Smart one, the touch is touch, your pen is a pen, and the back of your hand is a rubber.
Wow.
So those can just be rubbed out. And those are the functionality throughout everything, just works like that, which is great. Makes it very easy to teach.
This is too much. A bit too advanced.
Is that it?
But I'll go with it, yes.
That's enough, I can go now. Wow.
Oh my God.
Sorry, it's just that I've been looking at them for all this time going, what do I do?
Yeah, it's meant to be designed to be easy, that if you want a black pen, there's a black pen.
Yeah.
There are some, if you can see these floating tools at the side, you have got a few extra options within that as well. So you can change your black pen to a green one, or to a red one. But essentially it's, if you pick up a black pen, it's a black pen. Put them back there and it will just reset them. So then that black is then back to a black one. So, the main kind of, morning.
Good morning. Sorry.
No, that's fine, no problem. I've said so far that it's a nice board, touch is touch, pen is a pen, essentially. And that can be happens for anything. If you're writing in Word, PowerPoint, Adobe, anything, that's just the same as that way. And then the back of your hand is that rubber as well. Just to try and something easy just to start teaching. The main piece of software is this Smart Notebook. So Smart Notebook can be installed on any device, rather like a Windows or a Mac. And then for the licenses, because you have got licenses, hopefully if you attach your email address to that license key, then when you open that, all you'll need to do is to click at the top here into your account. And then if you log in using your email address, are you Microsoft?
Yeah.
So just log in with your school Microsoft one, your school, I'm saying, Microsoft one, and then that'll be your, because you've got an active license and your email address is linked to the key, you can download it at home, use it at home, you can use it on that computer, wherever, whichever room you are, as long as you're logged in, it'll be fine.
Somebody sent me a document in there and I couldn't open it at home. So how would that work?
Was it a Smart Notebook?
Yeah.
So you might just need to download Smart Notebook at home. Just Google download Smart Notebook and it'll be there. We're currently on version 18, so because you've got a new license anyway, you can have that and then just log in at the top and then it'll be all part of it.
Do you need to pay for it to get the license?
You already have.
Oh, you can use it through here? Yeah.
So it's just our WAES.
It's
Just
WAES.
our WAES one.
Yeah.
It's a, yeah. Okay. So this is what's new.
Yeah.
We didn't have this extension on the license before, and that's why Mark is here essentially. If we didn't have features, he's going to show you like online learning
So can I just
suite.
recap? So I can go home, go on the computer, download Smart Notebooks version 18, and use my email address, and then I've got access to planning.
Exactly.
And then it'll just save like a file. It won't be a Word file, it won't be a PowerPoint file, it'll be a Smart Notebook file. But it all effectively works the same. I bought mine on a memory stick, plugged it on the side, and opened it up.
Oh, so I can have it on a memory stick?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I still like my
Just
memory
like
stick.
It's just a normal
Yeah.
file. If you wanted to put it on OneDrive, just put it on OneDrive. It's just a file, basically. It just happens to be called a Smart Notebook file, as opposed to a Microsoft Word file, but essentially it's...
So in essence, it means we can work in our free time. Think about it.
Free time.
Inside to everything.
You don't have free time.
You know the little PDF, whatever symbol, what is it at the end? Is it just Smart Notebook? Is that what it says at the end of the document, or what's the little or whatever it is?
If I go onto desktop, it's a notebook file.
Oh, it just says notebook.
Yeah, that's the type of file. But essentially, so I've just copied and pasted mine from my memory stick, so I don't leave it here, onto the desktop, and those are the two files there. And then it's opened up that. So, the whole point of Smart Notebook is to try and make it a teaching tool, rather than just a presenting tool like PowerPoint, where it's click something next, I can pick up a pen and write over it. But it's how can I make it interesting for the students? How can I make it interesting for myself as well some of the days? So I was kind of told I had to start with a really corporate slide, which is just full of boring jargon, but essentially it's what's the purpose today, and then the aims would be to try and make it a bit more entertaining. I thought I'd cover them up and share them that way. So our aims for today are all of that sort of stuff, just to give you an overview of it.
You've seen the boards are clean.
That's why I use the back of my hand. Having taught in year one and used the front of my hand, I then have to go and wash my hands. So yes, definitely the back of your hand. But essentially, all it is something making a fat contact will be the rubber. If I use just two fingers, it's small. If I use a big hand, it's bigger.
Does it need the hand, or can you just use a broad piece of tissue or something?
Piece of tissue.
Okay.
I had a dustpan and brush the other day. I use a dustpan and brush to do that. It's just something making a fat contact. If you've got your hair down, you can probably use your hair and swish it from side to side if needs be. But it's that. So what I've done there to make that, my finger moves it around, back of my hand is my rubber. So what I did with that is my pen, so I can program my finger to be something different. So if I can program my finger to be a white pen and make it a really fat one, then I can cover up that text with a white line. So now I've got the text there, but it's covered up with something over front, and then when I rub out that white line, it kind of reveals that stuff behind it. So yes, it's actually that bit of magic, but essentially I've got a white background with some text, and then some white colouring over the top, which isn't as magical when you know how, but initially it's a bit of magic. So that's really useful there. So kind of coming to this point here, it's just going to change my finger back to a pointer. It's trying to make this, rather than me teaching and me talking at you, it's trying to make that transition where this is your student-centered device. So the students are coming up and actually touching it and being part of it. They're being explored with it and they're being connected to this device here. Do your students have a phone, tablet, a mobile device of some sort? Great, will phones. So then you can send some of this content out to them as well.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a bit of a play on a game now.
Did I miss that lovely feature you did there at the end when you moved from box purple to box green? Come on, tell us.
I've just typed different text. That bit's blue, I'm sorry, that bit's green, purple. And then when it's over here, the purple's text is still there. Please cover that.
Yeah. Oh, it's easy when you know how.
But then if I slide it over there, you can see in the middle it kind of...
Behind.
What's
It's
that
there.
feature called? Is there a name for that? Being able to
Essentially, all I've got is I've got two boxes.
Okay, it's just
This one is green,
call it camera.
this one's purple. It's... And then I've just got some text over the top. So I can make a box here. So in my shapes at the top, I could have a bat star, and then a heart. And then when I've got my text, I type it over the top. But if I've got yellow text, it'll be hidden there. But you can see it there. And it's just being a bit, it's just that creative side of thinking, how can I do it? But until you know it's an option. So my finger is just moving these from side to side. What I have done with this one, you can see I can only move it sideways, is I've locked it inside. So you've got a few different options, and here I've just locked it to change, allow horizontal mode. But if I unlocked it, you can see I've got lots of different options in there. And one of them is the lock and allow horizontal move. So it means I can only move it that way, as opposed to this one isn't locked and I can move it wherever I wish. Okay. The little things.
It's the little things that count.
So, I'm a technophobe, but this is, for me, is doable, and I'm excited by it because normally, we sit there, we get through this training, and it's like, I can't remember the order in which this happens, I don't, and when you're standing in front of students, you forget something,
Of course.
you're lost.
Yeah.
And this is just like, bulletproof.
That's the whole point of it. Because we've got, as teaching, you've got a million things going through your mind that you just want to be able to come up to the board and essentially just annotate over something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or move that thing around or rub it out, and that's it.
Yeah.
The rubbing out's the best one for me.
Well, the moving.
It really is.
Just move again. Just move it over to the right.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Sweet.
I can see that working very well actually.
But it's just sometimes on that Friday afternoon, you just need a bit of oomph. And something magical like that can just bring up a little bit of sparkle. I might come back to that in a moment. So your basic orientation of the board here, these are your kind of main actions are at the top. You've got a screen shade, which is in there. And again, it looks like a shade. So it's designed to be kind of that way, and then that can be moved. Just to, and then if you click on that, that just change the colour. But essentially it's a screen shade, or if you go from the side. But again, it's designed, it's got a dot, so if you click on the dot and move the dot, it's there. Hopefully it's quite self-explanatory, the cross gets rid of it. And there's a table up there, and there's a few other bits and pieces. Your main control panel is up there, and that's your your main bits and bobs to start writing with.
So for us little people, you can move that down, yes? The panel, you can move.
See the arrow?
Yeah.
So if you get on a chair to start with, and then that arrow brings it to the bottom, and then it's down there.
So,
And again, from when I was teaching with little ones, that was great, because then they could reach it. So it's designed to be kiddie-proof. The fact that the children can come up and use it, and it's really, really easy. But it was quite useful to be able to hide the tools when I didn't want them to
so
get
it's just
into it.
the arrow
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah. And then the kind of settings bar means you can customise the different bits on here as well. So if you wanted different pens, quick use, or different shortcuts down there, that can be edited. but as a starting point, it's there.
And does it save every change you make, or do you have to save it at the end like a file?
Essentially, it's just a file. So if I closed it down now and got rid of it, it would just say, do you want to save my changes? And then I choose how I want to do. I'm just going to cancel that. So yes, the kind of the add-ons here, these ones here are kind of your main ones. So if you wanted a shape, you click on a shape. If you wanted text, you click on a text. The beauty with this is if you pick up a pen, it knows that it's a pen. So it automatically gives you the options. And obviously put that back and it disappears. So if I wanted that black pen, I just started writing in black, but I've now got a shortcut to make it red or shortcut to make it green. This one picks up and it says it's the red one. So I've got that one, and I've got the black one, I can be changing that to green as well, change that one to a blue. Ooh. I can click on it. And those can be working completely independently of each one. Or if I want my finger to be purple, that can be that as well. So I can then have, let's just make an absolute mess, all of those working all at the same time. So if you've got multiple students coming up to the board, you can have one in that colour, one in that colour, one in that colour. And they can all be interacting those at the same time. Or it's just something as you're wanting to write a question and then tick it in a different colour. You've got that different colour to hand as well. There's also, in fact, the finger's underlined, or you can change your finger to, it knows that that's that, and that's that, which is really quite useful, apart from just making a big scribbly mess. To be able to program those to be different things is great. Coming back to then your Promethean boards, each one of those you'd have to change to each one, so it becomes a lot easier and a lot more natural to work. And then I put them back and they're reset to black, and that one's reset to red. And then it's still got the back of my hand, and if I go all the way around the outside and then a dot in the middle, it clears that as well, which is useful.
And Mark, the highlighter tool, highlighting words, might be useful.
Yeah. So from here, it's now showing me the pens because it knows I'm about to use a pen. And within those pen options there, I've got lots and lots of different ones. And essentially just have a play and see what those pens do. The highlighter one is, strangely enough, a highlighter. And I can highlight different sections. What is good, if I want to highlight in a straight line, it makes it straight, which is kind of obvious to do. I'm never quite great at drawing straight lines, but it just makes it a little bit neater. Again, if I wanted it in a different colour for that one. This one, I wanted the highlighter to be green, so I can highlight in that colour, highlight in that colour, and it will know which one is which for those as well. And I've still got my finger to be that purple pen, or moving those bits around, or rubbing them out.
Is there one button you can attach and it will clear the board altogether?
There is. It's not on there by default, so that's just one of the settings in here.
So what did you ask, Patricia?
Clean it or
I clean it as one.
I have got a page. I can't find it.
So that icon you just pressed, it brings up.
Clear ink at the top there. So that clear ink, I can now drag and drop and put it over there, and then I can get rid of this. And now I've got my clear ink to clear my ink on there. There's one to reset the page as well. So it won't just, so if you've added any pictures, drawings, it will reset it to how it was when you started your lesson. Or you can just click on undo, which is at the side there as well.
It's the best button actually.
A fail-safe one.
And you've got to do when you're creating your documents and everything, you've got to do everything in Smart Tools. Is that right? So you've got to have this downloaded anyway at home if you're preparing the lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit like you can't make a PowerPoint file without PowerPoint, so you can't make a notebook file without notebook. So just kind of going down those pens there, there's kind of lots of those different ones. If I just change this pen to a creative pen, I'm going to change that to a smiley face. But this one's a red one, so it might be that I'm just keep it really basic for today, just keep my brain. I've written that one in red, but then this pen is a smiley face, so I can mark it with this one. But I've still got my finger to be able to highlight as well because I set that as a highlighter. So it's just, you can keep your smiley face for marking.
The magic pens.
Yeah, or as a star, that, or if you change your finger to the stars, you you can essentially get lots of stars going. It should do all of those because it's lots of points of touch, but it's not quite. Oh, there it is, a bit of a delay. So you can have now lots and lots of people writing all at the same time, and that's absolutely fine. So I'll just clear the ink. Yeah, so another one of those pens there is the Magic Pen. Now, Magic Pen has got 3 uses: circle, square, and anything else. So the anything else is you might be underlining key parts in your document, but it might be a document that the children students are working on afterwards, and you don't want them to see you've underlined the verbs, so now they begin to vanish. So then they've got to do that work afterwards, although you've shown them the answers. It's then, can you remember and can you apply that to your text? And then that works for anything. As I said, any other markings are all just going to disappear, that's all.
Sorry, where did you pick up that?
This is a Magic Pen. So I've changed my finger to a Magic Pen. And then any annotations will just disappear. If it's a circle, so if I wanted to highlight that one there, if I do a circle, it then becomes a spotlight. Ooh, there you go. So then I can move that around and focus on these different parts. I can touch the black bit and it will be moving it around. I can still annotate inside this little square, this little circle, sorry, but I can't annotate elsewhere because it will just move it around. I can then change the size of that. If I click on the blue, I can change the size of that circle as well. And then if you're reading text, it's quite useful for then just looking at keyword, moving along, rather than me saying see and work with each. I can then kind of do like teacher mode, and I can be looking at my students whilst following that text, which is quite useful for reading part by part. So that's a circle. And then the other one with my Magic Pen is a square. And then that will zoom it in.
And this is all from the Magic Pen?
That's the Magic Pen. It works by magic. So there's the annotations that disappear. The circle is the spotlight, and then the square is the zoom, which can be quite useful even if it's just a spelling. I'm quite sure if that's a real square. You're just trying to highlight that spelling for someone. You can zoom in even further as well. I'll just change the size of that, and then you can zoom in with this little zoomy button at the bottom. So that's the Magic Pen. I do like that one. So this pen here, let's just, what other pens have we got? That's not being that accurate at the bottom. Have a look at that afterwards. So there's different pens down there. There's highlighter, we've looked at that one. A crayon is just a crayon. Again, you can change the colours. You use that how you wish. Same with the calligraphy pen. Some teachers enjoy using that calligraphy pen. How you use it is up to you, but it's just an option. Sometimes it's just like that Friday afternoon feeling. I need to do it in a slightly different way. Paintbrush, again, the same as that one. The shape recognition pen, I will have a look at. Let's just get a new page up. So if I draw a triangle, it makes it a triangle.
That's good.
Or a circle, makes it a circle.
Yeah,
That's very good.
Which is great.
That's essential. Yes.
Struggle to draw a circle.
Yes.
Ooh, that was a bit wobbly on that one. So it does recognise, obviously, irregular shapes as well. It does the first few basic shapes. It doesn't, when you're trying to kind of draw an octagon or a dodecahedron, it won't recognise those, but there are shortcuts to it. And I'd probably recommend just doing it that way, rather than having to work it out by freehand anyway. But those options are there with that pen. But then, because it's a teaching tool, rather than just here's a triangle, it's here I tried to draw an equilateral triangle, believe it or not. And when I taught that to kind of 7-year-olds, they would almost argue blue in the teeth, but that is an equilateral triangle, because they thought, well, they didn't know what an equilateral triangle is. Yeah. So for me to try to explain that, or for me to say, no, go and draw it again, and make it an equilateral triangle, was kind of, an hour later we were still having that same discussion. but with the extra options here, a bit like when we looked at locking it, because it's that teaching tool and it knows that it's a triangle, I can actually show my interior angles as well. And then because it's not, and now I can begin to argue that it's not equal, because all of those are not equal. So how can we make them equal? If we show the interior show the vertices as well, and then we can actually adapt that to make it almost errors of margin as well. But now it is an equilateral, almost, for argument's sake, it's an equilateral triangle. But it's that teaching and visually showing that they can see the difference now, that now it looks equal, and it looks similar, or the same, or equal. So it becomes that, or, but then with a circle, you wouldn't really want to look at interior angles. So those ones, when you click on that menu there, aren't available. But you can divide the shapes. So if I want to show the fractions and divide it into ninths, it's done. And then these can be taken out separately.
Tricia will never look back.
I have nothing to say.
It's like your magic
I've
box,
lost for
isn't it?
words.
So I'm just going to, because this is a thing, this is a selecting tool, if I select those there, it's then I can change the properties of this one. And I can change that one, so if I fill colour to yellow, those are yellow. Select those, if I group them, wobble them together, so then those can be linked and put back in, and that's kind of the,
So how did you group them again? You just wobbled.
yeah, wobble and then come apart, wobble, come together, and then can be put into there. Or if I wanted to do the whole thing, I select, a bit like I'm trying to select lots of files, you can see it's a big mess, wobble it, and it comes together, and then it can be moved. And so all of that started from a pen with shape recognition. So again, it's a very visual way of looking at it. I am drawing that triangle, I am drawing that circle, and then what do I want to do with that circle that I've drawn is then taking it further.
Yeah, but I think also what you've done is you've created it, you've brought it together while you're teaching visually. So it's
Exactly.
visual.
So you can
So it's
see
like-
those steps.
Especially for those students who actually
Good
could
vis-
only visualise
yeah, but
things
visual.
as well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a great differentiation
Yeah.
tool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Talk
And
it
it's
through.
embedded,
Yeah.
and it doesn't cost you any time or effort or work to differentiate. You're doing it all the time.
That's not fair.
Well, it's there now. There we,
You know, the planning I've put in to get that looking like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's there for you.
Thank you.
There you go. So one the other things that, so looking back at the menu here, that was just the shape recognition pen, magic pen. We've kind of looked at a few of those there. Looking at one other one I wanted to look at was text pen. So when you're trying to, this is something I've just typed in beforehand. So if I pick up a pen this time, it's told me I'm looking at a pen. Which pen do I want? I want to do the text pen, because I want to be editing this text. What should we change first? Yeah, let's put a capital letter. So when we were marking that up in students' handwork, circle it. This bit needs to be changed. So we'll circle that bit. We need to change this bit. What do we want to change that to? We want to change it to a capital letter. Okay. And it's changed. Finger space. Sorry, that's my primary.
Yeah.
Got the space in it. So it's just a line needs to go in there. That's how you know to separate them. So let's just put that line in, and it creates it. So then we're editing that text, hopefully in a similar way that we mark up when we're editing their work anyway.
Yeah.
Let's change. Let's add in a word. Normally use the arrow. What word do we want to add in? Something mat.
That.
Scripted word.
Big mat.
Big. Doesn't matter if I'm cursive. Big mat. It gives me a few options. I'm happy that that one is big mat. Let's put it in there. Again, that's that space. I'm more of a dog person, so I'm going to get rid of the word cat by crossing it out.
Lesson planning, what would I say? Lesson planning will never be the same.
No.
Yes, but the thing is, you've got to have. Sorry, I'm done. I mean, if you're doing this at home and you haven't got a touch screen, I know you can use your mouse and everything, but it's not going to be the same, is it? Because until you stand in front of a screen like this, you don't know all the.
No, but I suppose this is something you're doing in class, because hopefully the learners are up there editing.
No, but
Yeah.
for me, I would want to practice myself before
practicing,
I,
I know.
Would you like to buy a board for home?
You walked into that one.
I know.
Yeah, but I mean, for
But yes,
me
it
at
is
home,
situation.
this text here
Yeah.
was just something I typed in. I mean, that one there is that's a very, very simple text. But it might be that they've written it in their book and you wanted to make an example of it to everybody to say, look, this is the sentence, this is how we can edit and improve it. So you're just taking their work. And for me to make that one there, the green text, what took me 10 seconds to type in, just on my computer.
No, but when you use PowerPoint, you kind of prepare all these slides
Yeah.
and you do all the fancy stuff, and then you maybe add something to it. Or I think this thing, I need to approach it as like a whiteboard with enhanced
Yeah, yeah.
capabilities.
It is a different way of looking at it, because your PowerPoint, it's like that teacher slide at the beginning. PowerPoint is great if you're standing here like this, and your class are very good auditory learners, and they click on the next one, and then everyone learns that way. Not everyone learns that way.
Can you do it on your phone?
Not in Smart Notebook. There is an online version that you can do on your phone, which we're going to come out later on in the day.
Just realised.
But it hasn't got all the bells and whistles.
If I were to download a piece of work and brought it up, could I still use my text pen
On it.
on it?
Over it.
On it. So I've downloaded, for example, a test paper and I want to go to it with the students looking at the keywords.
Yeah.
Can I do that?
If you've put it into Smart Notebook, here it knows it's text. Oops, my finger. So my Smart Notebook knows it's text, therefore I can use a text pen. So if it's from a big exam board thing, you'd have to copy paste it into there as text to be able to edit the text. If it's just a PDF document, you can write over the top, but you haven't got all the power of Notebook and including this.
But have you got the function of highlighting, for example?
Yes.
Yeah, so,
That's fine, I can highlight it. But
yeah, 'cause that's a big function, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason why I did this in green is that now you can see that my edits are in black,
Yeah.
so then the children can see the starting point and the ending point because of the different colours, which is useful. I'm going to show you this one because it's the rubber as well. Anyone guess the shape? What is it? What shape is it not? Should we get from that point of view?
It's not a square, that's for sure.
It's not. You sure it's not a square?
Oh, it's
It's
not a
got-
circle, it's not a circle.
Well,
Definitely not a circle, but could it be a square?
Well, it's got to have 4 sides.
But you can see some bits covered up.
It's coming.
So
Oh,
could
it
it?
is a square.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, it's that discovery. It's a bit like you've got that feely bag and you're hiding a shape.
Yeah.
Apart from if I'm holding the shape up here, you can't really see it. But if it's like large on the board, you can see there. And then I'm rubbing slowly a little bit out, and you can see now it's not a square.
It's a triangle.
So I'm just thinking, could Patricia do that with, say, a formula?
Yep.
So you're just revealing for x, 2x plus 3y, I don't know, something bracket, and you could reveal it as they go along or reveal the answer.
I've got that in my maths training one
I've got my special training this afternoon.
Yeah. So for the maths one this afternoon, I had a whole formula along the top.
So I'm right there, don't worry,
And when to simplify it, all I did was just rub out the next line. Get rid of the brackets, rub out the next line. So it's all typed up in there.
I'm thinking we could have a gap fill exercise, couldn't we?
Yeah.
If we had a text, well, I'm looking at
Yeah.
us, if we had a
Yeah.
text, we could create our gaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's actually a specific game you can do that as well.
There's not we can see.
Yeah. So all this one here is it's essentially all I've got a picture,
Right.
and then I've just put writing over the top. Put a pen, and I had a white pen scribbled over the top, and then I'm just rubbing it away to find what's behind it.
So how did you get that there in the first place?
There was a little
So
video
all I've got
thing.
here is an image. I've downloaded it from the internet and put it in there.
Alright.
Copy, paste, just from Google. I've then had a pen, and then I've chosen my pen to be a white one. I've chosen it to be a fat white one, and then over the top. The same with the shape.
And this could be, just have a look at the, what are they? What are these? They're not tools, but, so you've got a text, that triangle is a text, I don't know if that's the right word, but the image is, that could be downloaded.
Yep.
Yeah, that's my question. So it doesn't matter what the nature of the object, that's the word, what the nature of the object is, you can still do these functions on it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that coin one there, literally I just googled a £2 coin and then put white over the top.
So forgive me if you're going to cover this later on, but does it do the PowerPointy type things where you can upload documents and, I mean, you've uploaded an image, so can you upload clips and things and whatever and use this in the same way?
Like
or-
videos.
Yeah, videos or, you know, sort of a web page or something and you want, or, you know, BBC News or something like that and show it through that? Or is that doesn't work like that?
There's different ways of doing that. You can insert a web browser. It's rubbish, don't bother using it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But all I do is just then
Just
go to here. I can, within here, you can make this, for example, this coin here, I could have that as a hyperlink. So when I click on that coin, it takes me to a website.
Right.
A bit like later on, so I've inserted some hyperlinks here, so if I click on that, it's going to take me to that.
Mhm.
I'll come to that later on.
But then I can't if I'm not doing it through this, then I can't write on it? Is that what you're saying?
It will have, where was I on that one? There. So if I have got a web browser, I can have this web browser and I can just annotate by picking up a pen and doing that. But because I'm not in Smart Notebook, I'm relying on these extra tools here, which are limited.
Yeah, okay.
But there's these little floating ones. So that's my finger one. I can program my finger to be something, or I can program my red pen to be something.
So all my PowerPoints that I have at the moment, which are actually quite fixed, because obviously when you teach childcare, they're quite fixed. I'm now going to make them into smart, so I can actually play with them.
Convert it.
Because that's what I do anyway. But it's different. So it's just copy and paste.
Yeah.
Is that what? And that's it.
Yeah.
And then I can play with them, because the thing is when you're, as you know, when you're teaching childcare, something's a static and you need them to be static, but you want to be able to put them up and play with them.
Yeah.
So that's
Cool.
fine.
So just to be
That's
sure,
fine.
so Maisie can copy and paste from PowerPoint and then drop it almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you show me how you pick it
That's
up though?
brilliant.
Because if
Yeah.
Maisie put a USB stick into the machine, where would you pick it up from? Because that's how I've had trouble bringing things on from my USB stick onto here.
Okay, I'll come back to that in
Oh,
one moment.
that's
That's fine. So here, with your PowerPoint, you can just go File and Import.
Oh.
Okay.
So File Import, and it'll take your PowerPoint
Yeah.
and make it into a notebook file.
Oh,
Because I think
brilliant.
that's what a lot of,
That's
it. Yeah.
especially
That's
vocation
brilliant.
people
Yeah.
can do now.
Yeah.
I've
That's
got a lot
brilliant.
of
Because for me, you know, I mean, you know, geez, when you've been doing something a lot, and it's actually, you need to make sure the students get what they need to get,
Yeah.
but you also want to be able to play with.
To move it
what
from a
is it-
PowerPoint to every single
Yeah.
lesson, you're
Yeah,
going to be
it's
there
gonna
forever.
Yeah, so it's just important.
File, Import. I will say, because you are going from a Microsoft document
Yeah.
to a Smart document,
Uh-huh.
there might be some
But that's
alignments
fine.
and things like that. The transition-wise,
Mm.
transitions aren't there.
Mhm.
Essentially, I find a transition looks pretty,
Mm.
teaching value.
Mm.
You can make transitions for them.
Oh, so you can still transition.
Yeah,
on
but
Smart
not from
Notebook.
slide to slide. You can
Alright,
have different
within
things.
the slide.
So if I wanted
Okay.
this coin to not appear until I clicked on it, because it's the coin, I'm changing the properties of the coin. So my object animation, I've got a few different ones, knows
Oh,
your
you've got that
transitions.
feature. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
For example,
are
fade
they,
in.
I'm just
Sorry,
looking at
where
the,
is that in file or no?
it's on the side tab.
On the
So I'm just going to show you. So I know that there's a coin here. So when I click on the coin, it appears.
Mark, can you just highlight
Yeah.
the tab there? for
So-
us?
So I need to click on an object. So the Smart Notebook now knows that I'm looking at an object, and I'm changing the properties of the object, which is this kind of letter A and underliney bits. And now, because it's a triangle, it knows I might want to do fill effect, line effect, or object animation. And then that's there. And then I can change those animations of that triangle. Or text, or whatever it might be.
And if you then sent it back as the other way, it would lose all of these changes, wouldn't it?
Are you going to save it? No, but if it's in smart, if it's in smart, you just save it, so you've got it there.
Okay,
So
it's
anything
smart.
you've done on smart, you save. Is that,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
that right?
yeah, yeah.
So you'll have it.
If you wanted to then convert
It back to.
it back to a PowerPoint,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Will it keep
two
some of
things.
these
It
things?
probably wouldn't keep them.
No.
Okay.
But why would you put it into a
Yeah.
PowerPoint from a? Essentially, if you just wanted that, I want to present to you. This one here with the Zoom one, you can show full screen, and there is essentially your PowerPoint that you can click next, and you're going through your PowerPoint slide. It doesn't.
But
It's
you've
not
still got your PowerPoint anyway. I'll still have my PowerPoint.
Yeah.
So in any
Copying
case,
it.
so I've only just copied it.
Not cutting it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the only reason I'm asking is because you teach it on different sites, and not
Yeah.
every site has got.
yeah, no, that's what I was thinking. But you'll still
Only
have
there
your
was someone
PowerPoint.
that could go through the
You'll
sites
still
and
have your
store a smart
original
notebook
one.
everywhere.
All right.
No, so I was thinking the same thing, but I'd still
Yeah.
have mine.
Online might deal with that anyway.
There is an online version
Which might answer that.
that would answer that, and you could just teach through a web browser that essentially you prepared on your phone at home on the tube.
Okay. Could I just jump back? So when you import your PowerPoint onto a smart notebook, you won't be able to transition from slide to slide. You'll be able to play around with the transitions within a slide, but will the PowerPoint transitions be retained once it hits smart notebook? Or will you have to redo them?
Will which transitions?
The
The PowerPoint transitions.
within each particular slide, yeah. You know, let's say you've got
Right.
fly in, fly in, fly in. When you import that into
I
smart
don't
notebook,
think so.
okay, so it's just good to know because it's a bit of work involved.
But
But
it's not that. It's not as much work
No,
as you would think. You know, if I'm thinking about it rationally, I'm not having to
exactly.
do
No.
every single.
No, so I
Polish up
suppose
the wheels, but not
Yeah.
remake the wheel.
to summarise, you may not retain the in-slide transitions, but you've got that tab on the left where
Yeah.
you can,
So can I just ask, how did you bring up that tab on that phone? Yeah, how did you
So-
do that?
Roughly kind of here, what were all the options that we looked at for the pens and stuff, and all those different ones are there. There's drawing straight lines as well, and there's adding text to do that, and that's kind of that bar finished now. And then the other ones are these options down the side. So this is your kind of main teaching material that you're using during the lesson, but then there are some extra options down here. The first one brings up this gallery at the side here. Jumping down to the properties one, there's the properties. So at the moment, because it knows I'm looking at text, it says text style, so I can change what my text looks like. It doesn't give me the options of flying in and out because it's text. And text, I want to be editing that one. I can fill the text and I can do that to the text. But if you had a picture or just a drawing, it will then know that it's drawing and you want to do something with that drawing. I don't want to change the text of it, the type of it. So it kind of customizable menus based on what you're clicking on. Fill effect, and then there is your animations. So I can make my circle fly in.
Okay, and you can minimise it with that little arrow, that side, that panel on the left-hand side, you can minimise.
This one
that.
here gives you
Don't
more
talk about the
options.
map,
Oh, sorry,
get
this
rid of
one.
side.
I can, if I just click on my other one, it goes to the side. I can auto hide it, so then it goes.
okay.
I tend to keep it open. Just for me, it was, oh, I know what I'm doing next, and I often forgot. Oh, then it was, I'm on that one next. Or if you're jumping around your lessons, you can kind of see, we did this earlier, jump back to it, we did that one, back to it. So it's almost just that narrative, if you like, of your lesson. But again, you can hide it if you want to. That's again.
It's a bit like PowerPoint sort of
It's
slide on
exactly
the
the
left-hand
same.
side.
And that's that top one's page sorter that were there. The next one down here is a gallery. So in the gallery, you can see there are 5,236. And because I'm being filmed, I should say all of those are very, very useful. If I wasn't being filmed, I'd say roughly about 5,000 of them you'll never use.
Yeah.
But I won't go into too much detail. But there are some really good ones in there. I've never had to use this one, but if that was the one that you wanted, you can just pick it up and drag it and put it in there, and it's there. The best thing about it is, it's at the bottom now, is this search menu. So if you click in there, you can then search for anything you want, and it should be in there. But like I said, about 5,000 of those you probably won't use, and certain ones like square paper, they've got very limited choice of square paper. So what you can do if you look down here is Smart Exchange. Now Smart Exchange is a website which is fantastic. It gives you the web link here. Now if I just click on it, I've already brought it up here, this is Smart Exchange. Now Smart Exchange is an online dump of resources. There are loads and absolutely loads in there. There's pre-made content, pre-made lessons, pre-made activities. There's square paper, line paper, triangular paper, everything that you could possibly want is there. But a lot of it is quite old, so it is going for a big refresh, and I'll show you the new one in a moment. But again, search for it. Search for it, you can search for it by subject, by year group, by file type. There's loads of stuff on there, and a lot of it is quite outdated, hence why we're redoing the whole website, but there's some good stuff on there. I will also say that we're currently looking at the English one. So you've got brilliant content for England, but because we are not a huge nation, and Smart started, it's a Canadian company, and then they kind of went to America first. If you are struggling to find something, just change the country to America, and there's loads of stuff in there. Or for example, if you wanted something, if you were teaching a student, if you're trying to teach German, and you wanted everything in German, yes, right, you can just click on the German site, and if you wanted it that way, and there's, you decide how you want to do that. So the new one does look a lot cleaner and a lot fresher, and we've kind of looked at what is the best content and moved that across. And it should be tagged a lot better, quality stuff, and a lot of this was made by smart exemplary educators. So it's a bit like an Apple Distinguished Educator. It's just kind of the same pattern of smart, kind of recognised good teachers that make some good lessons, particularly in smart. And they were, I mean, this was my route into smart. I was a smart exemplary educator, and there's just some good lessons that are uploaded in there. Good old dressing the teddy bear one. It's always useful, but some really, really good content on there. And again, you can log in, you can share resources, and that's a good one there.
So how do you sign in? At the top it says sign in.
Yeah, it will just take you to sign in as your email address.
Or my email address.
Yeah.
And are they all targeted at children? Or are they all age groups, all those resources?
I haven't searched for all age groups,
We can search something like
but it will just be a search at all grades. You can select them for
I suppose GCSE should be up there, shouldn't it?
post-secondary.
Yeah, no, it's just that's quite a lot of time it's all kind of aimed at young people, so sort of because we teach adults. So
Yeah, of
probably
course.
there's,
Yeah.
not necessarily age appropriate, but things that were suitable because for us to use.
Have a search.
Yeah.
If it's not in there, then it's probably not in there. But by all means, things that you make, you can upload. That will be when you come onto the social media side of things. You can say, is anybody teaching this particular subject? Or email me, and I can ask the community and say who is doing this particular subject. And
You're doing a section specifically on Smart Exchange later on, are you? Or is
I can dip. I'm probably going to dip in and out of it for everybody.
No, I'm just thinking if maybe this is going forward, if we can upload onto this,
Yeah.
can we create a folder? Sort of a name for, I'm just thinking that this could be a place where each department could share resources, just put all their stuff together here.
Will these be public folders for everybody? Like
This is a public
Yeah, I
one.
So, but we can have one just for the college?
Not as yet, because if you are, this is kind of, I've made something great I want to share with the world,
Yeah.
or I want to find something great from the world. It's that kind of level of interaction. If it's, for example, saving your planning to share with somebody else within your college, I put that on your own server or in OneDrive.
Yeah,
Or
no, I'm just thinking
Teams.
general resources, yeah, and
We can just put that on Teams.
I know that,
Yeah.
and I'm just wondering, could we put everything on the one tool, but.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
use Teams for that because
Yeah.
sometimes you've got sensitive information
Sure,
as well.
oh God, yes.
If we put it in the cross curriculum, then anyone can have it.
Yeah.
Something like teachers, most of their resources, I mean, they're good resources, but they're targeted at 16-year-olds and they're not always suitable for adults.
There will be, I mean, it is used in further education, and there will be some stuff like that. Obviously, it is more of a primary focus, So there will be loads of content for kind of 5-year-olds to 11-year-olds, and then a fair bit of stuff on there, particularly maths content, because a lot of maths teachers do use it. Just because of there aren't that many institutions like this, and even less using Smart is kind of narrowing down your user base. But if we wanted support to kind of
It's feedback, you could feedback.
yeah, of course. This is why I want to instill the passion within yourselves, so that you are creating some stuff, and then you can be our guinea pig, and you can put all your content up because it's all amazing. But it's at the moment it is an online dump of resources with the Smart Exchange. This one with the new one is a lot cleaner, it's a lot better, and there's a lot more kind of that machine learning in the background to make sure that search is a much better way of getting your content that you exactly want, which is all on there.
Just a question, if
Yeah.
you upload something on there, are other people able to change it and edit it, or is it only the person that uploads it can change it? I mean, I don't know, does it have that kind
So
of...
for example, this one here, it's just saved online. So now it's saved online, I can download it, and then I can use it, and edit it and do whatever I want.
No, but whatever is on this uploaded, you can download it, but you can change what's already been uploaded as
Yeah.
well. Then you
No.
upload it back up.
No. It's a bit like on the TES. When you download a file, you can't change the one on the TES.
Okay.
You download it, then you can edit it and whatever you wish, but it keeps the master online, and that's just kind of like this is the master copy. Okay. So that's the gallery there. What I have also got at the top is my content. So if you have got stuff that you use, or you've saved that line paper, you've got your background all sorted, if it's a picture, just drag and drop that back, and then it's saved in my content. So rather than having to go through all the gallery and everything like that, it's now in my content and I've got that saved. It might be that you want a page, like this one here, where you've set it up with your nice logos and stuff like that. Here, there's an extra little arrow, and if you click on that arrow, you can add that page to gallery. So I had ones that I had a squared paper one set up with a nice blue background. Again, so for the background, the properties. So I'm clicking on the page, or properties of my page are that I want this page red. Hasn't gone. Oh, it is, because I've got a big white one in the background. You can see it's turned orange, but I've just got a big white picture over the top. So my background has changed it to another one. Let's get a new page. There we go.
So I can save any picture, any previous work in my content.
Yeah.
And when I reopen, I'll have it all waiting for me.
If you open that file, you'll have what you saved in that file. If you wanted to change your whole document so that every time you opened it up, you're looking at preferences. So edit preferences, and then within your preferences, you can choose your default background colour to be that buff white, if you like. And then every time you start a new page, it will be off-white.
That's good for people who have migraine and they find the whole classroom experience very difficult.
Yeah. Simple as just a dyslexic-friendly type
I was
as
about to say,
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
That is the
Yeah.
right colour.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the right colour, but
No,
a
but you can
dyslexic-
discuss it with the students.
Yeah.
You can change
Yeah.
those colours whichever way you want.
Off-white.
Some students like to
Change colour. I mean, you've got a little dropper there, so then you can make that dropper. This is better with keep here. So if I use that, click on that dropper, it gives me, and I can get exactly that internet blue down there, and now I've got an internet. No, I didn't go. I'm going to click on new page, and I've got that because I've selected that one from there. So it's just that dropper.
And then you can write away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I won't keep that as the default one. That's all.
In terms of memory, how big are these files, or are they just like ordinary Word docs or?
They're as long as a piece of string. If you've got they're just a normal size file. you've got loads of pictures in it, videos, lots of stuff, it gets massive. If you've just got a few empty ones with a few texts, it's tiny. It's never been an issue. I've got loads stored on my memory stick and it's not a problem. So looking at size of it though, if you do want to fill it up, you have got attachments at the side. So within this file here, I have stored attachments. So the way I used this was a head teacher I used to work for wanted everything saved on the shared area just as a notebook file. And then within that notebook file, there was your planning, there was your resources, there was links, everything was in there. So it wasn't a folder, it was just a notebook file. It was just her way of cleaning up the system. And then obviously you open it up next year and it's all in that one place, or if you send it, you haven't got to send multiple documents, so you're just sending that one. So you can see here I've got a PowerPoint saved, I've got training links websites, which is at the side here, so if you want to copy this file, they're all at the side there, PowerPoints, PDFs, Word documents, Excel, whatever it is, it can be all saved in the file here. And obviously during the lesson, you haven't got to then go and open up that document, it's just within it.
And just regarding the storage, that's just one long line of files. There's no option to categorize them into folders. Whereas with if you go back to my content.
Yeah. You can have additional folders within my content.
That's very useful, I think.
So here I've got my content, overview, but then within that I've got a separate document. So if I was, for example, teaching childhood studies and maths and everything, I could have all my different folders at the side with all my own content. That will be saved on this machine, because I'm now using this machine here.
Forever. So next year, you've got the same
It's got to be saved
level.
on a
You've got
desktop,
Yeah.
not a USB stick.
It's because this is now talking about the computer rather than your stuff. You can save your,
It says desktop.
you can make my content, and then you can export your collection. So if you made a massive, brilliant content stuff at home, and you wanted to bring all of it and dump it all into here, you can.
But on the desktop.
And then you'll dump it onto this desktop, and then if everybody else uses it, they've all got your content on this desktop.
The reason I say that is because we've got many different sites
Yeah.
I'd put it all on my USB stick.
for the USB stick.
Yeah, I'd put it all on my stick.
The way I did that is I had at home loads of stuff where I created all my files. So all this stuff was ready there, but then when I came in to use the work computer, I didn't really need a huge gallery at the side because it was all prepared for the lesson. Some things I put at the side, I had like number lines and things like that I just left on the school machine, but most of them is where I did my creation, and I had my own content prepared there.
Your desktop is linked to your login, so it's still just yours. That's a question.
That's a really good question.
So you're not sharing it, it's
Yeah,
just yours.
I think that's probably right.
So it's always just yours.
Yeah, but you're not
Don't save
encouraged
on
to save the
desktop.
desktop
Don't told not to.
because you're overloaded, aren't you? You're not encouraged to
Because I
save the
keep
desktop.
cleaning it regularly.
Yeah.
It goes anyway, doesn't it? The stuff on your desktop, it doesn't save anyway, so it doesn't matter that you dump stuff on there that day, it goes.
Well, that's because I clean
It does save on, it saves
It's
on,
not on-
if I save here, it'll save, but if I go upstairs,
That's what I'm saying.
it's a different
Yeah.
desktop.
Yeah.
However, you can save it in my documents, can't you?
Yeah.
It's fine.
Well, so you're now talking about my desktop as opposed to my desktop.
Yeah.
Computer.
My computer
Yeah.
login should save your gallery.
The login.
Your desktop, the actual physical
Yeah.
computer image of your desktop, is cleaned up, but that's not what you save it anyway, so don't worry about that. I was referring to your desktop being the computer rather than the Windows, my desktop.
Okay.
So, sorry.
But I think we can save it on my documents.
If you were to then file and export my collection, it then becomes a file which you then can save in my computer.
Can you just click the export my
Yeah.
collection there and we see our options?
And then it
Yeah.
saves like a file, but it's a gallery file. And then that gallery is just your resources that you've used here.
Sorry, gallery file is like what's a JPEG
It-
type thing? Or
that sort of thing, but it's a collection of here.
Okay, that's what you're saying.
It's a collection of resources. It's a collection of your gallery. You can then upload and bring up on a new computer. So this one here, if I save this, what I'm basically doing is saving half orange. So that's the attachments there. The properties one we've looked at, that's just how you customize things. Again, you can customize these here. So if you wanted to change your first font to be a different one, you can save that as well. So if I wanted it red, so this one to be red, save that one. You can now see that my preference here is red. So when I start typing with that one, it'll be red, or I could change it to bullet points, or those presets will be saved. I'll change it back, otherwise somebody will be start typing with red. They'll be annoyed. Black. Oh. There we go. And then the last one at the side here is add some add-ons. And then these add-ons are kind of ones there. So looking at a web search, the really good thing is that we use Bing. The really bad thing is that we use Bing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's
But
good
like
about Bing?
Yeah.
What's good about Bing
Okay.
is that we can turn on all of the safety features.
All right.
So
So it's good for smart.
in front of a class of students, you can search for anything up here, and it will be absolutely fine for everybody to see.
Okay.
Do it in Google, and you'll get loads more options.
Yeah, it's ooh, terrible.
But it turns out that April is not just the month of the year,
Yeah.
shall we say.
Yeah.
But the searching up here is brilliant because it's safe, but it's got a small bank of images because it's good, because it's big.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's that kind of both ways. What is really good is this YouTube one. So if we just search for YouTube, it brings up this one here. I'm just going to use the desktop because it's easiest. The main reason of YouTube is cats. So I click on a video there, add it, and it then becomes in my notebook file. So I haven't got to go out to a web browser, and I haven't got adverts. I've just got my YouTube. And then if I make that large, oops, I'm still on.
Oh, you have to go back on that one now.
Yes.
Yeah.
You should do that one again. You should do that one
Yeah.
again.
That was a swift move. That
Yeah.
one.
YouTube.
Add-ons.
So it's an add-on.
So it's add-on,
I like
because
that.
you're adding on a YouTube
So that
video.
icon, is that what it represents? Add-on, because it's at the bottom here. Someone's
Yes, it's there as well.
I've always wondered what that was. Okay.
Yeah. This one, I don't know why
It's
the
not
images are the same, because this one does slightly different to this, but it's the same icon.
Sorry, that's shapes down below and that's the add-on.
Add-ons at the side. And that add-on at the side, click on a YouTube, and hopefully it's kind of self-explanatory. You want a YouTube,
Yeah.
what do you want to do in YouTube? You want to search for it. Oh look, something's popped up.
Yeah.
Oh look, there's a search bar at the top. I'm going to type in what I want. You choose the one you want, and then it's adding the video.
Brilliant.
You can preview it small if you wish, but essentially it's just there. Again, that's filtered as well, so you should get the same content because you should be searching for appropriate stuff in the first place, but it will filter those to make sure they are good ones to.
And then you can tap on gallery, my content, and drag it in.
Oops, cancel that one.
Because you want to keep this.
I've never tried.
Okay, it's also a question. Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Don't stop.
Okay.
And now I've saved that cat video, so I can bring that up at any point during any lesson I teach.
Saved in, is that
Gallery.
my content?
In gallery.
Gallery.
But I would have thought with a YouTube video,
Yeah.
most of them you'll just want for that lesson.
Yeah.
And then you won't need to bring up multiple copies of that during multiple lessons, but it might
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
But anything,
there.
I suppose what I'm trying to say here is any web feature, could be an image, you just want to
Yeah.
drag
Yeah.
it over. I'm
Yeah.
thinking of you guys
Yeah.
actually more than
Yeah.
anything else. And just one, before you leave this, with regard to, could you insert a hyperlink?
Yeah.
With cats, any hyperlink?
So this I want to link out. So whatever I want to make a link. In this case, I want some writing. It could be a picture, it could be anything, and then you've got that extra little option. I can actually recognise it as handwriting in cats as well, which is quite cool, because it knows that it's text. It didn't give me the options to divide it into fractions because I didn't want to do that, but it's that option there, and I wanted to make it a link, and that link I can make it to anything. I could link it to different parts of the file. So click on cats and it jumps to my 20th slide looking at cats. It could be that a file on my computer. So if I click on this one, it opens up that PDF that I've stored on the computer as my cats, or attachments in the side here. I could open those, or a web link. And that web link could be cats. Now let's just go to bbc.co.uk, just because that's an easy one to do. I can either have it in the corner, a little icon, so it'll produce a little globe here that I click on, or you click on the object, click OK, or invalid web address.
Yeah, spaces I think.
So if I click on that, yeah, it helps if I type the web address incorrectly. If I click on that, there you go, it opens up the web page. And it's gone straight to it. Sorry. So it's just that web link. Or if I wanted that, I'll just show you the other one as well. If you wanted the corner object, it's there. So rather than now clicking on this, I have to click on that point there. That's just how you wanted to set it up.
I mean, why I asked that question is I think I initially went around the other way. I went into the web because I wanted I knew there was a good site, so I copied and pasted the URL address, and then I pasted that onto the slide. And when you paste that onto the slide, you get a lot of gobbledygook. That's what I want to show, because that's no good for anybody, ESOL or otherwise. But there's a feature whereby you can change the gobbledygook to this is your first homework task.
Like that,
Yeah.
So what I've got there, you don't really want to copy all that.
Yeah.
So if I then put web link, type in web link, but this one, I then change to the link, paste it in there, click on the object, click OK, and now when I click on that one, by hovering over it, you can see it's got a touch.
Yeah.
So it will then take me out to that website.
Can you not change that address?
I can do the same with that one, yeah.
It's changed.
I can then
Yeah.
edit that.
And write over something.
And then I can change that to a link.
A cup of tea,
I see.
a couple of cakes.
Object, paste. Okay, now there's my link there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a nuisance.
Are you tired?
No, can you just do it once more, please?
Yeah.
Because that was Swift.
Sorry, yeah. So you're finding whatever you want it to be, your web link.
Yeah.
And then here,
Uh-huh.
you've got some extra options. In those extra options, you've got a link, and you're making that link to going out to a web page. If I click and hold, that's the same as a right click.
Okay.
So click and hold, right click, paste it there. So that's the web address that I've copied
From there.
from there.
Mm-hmm.
Make it an object, corner, click OK. And now this, if I click on that, it will take me to the website. Click, and it takes me to the website.
Thank you.
Forms link, Maisie.
Thank you.
That there is the web link to this document. So if you go to that one there, you can
Okay.
download this,
Okay.
and it's got lots of training material on those ones there to kind of go and have a look round. The only thing I haven't really looked at is that Space Invader, which is an absolutely amazing thing.
Space, where's that? Where's the space? Oh, the little blue creature
This little blue one here.
at the bottom.
Yours will be a little bit bigger than that, but it is brilliant. Possibly the best thing about Smart Notebook. I'm just going a little bit slowly, sorry.
So Mark, you have to come back another day.
Yes.
But
Thank you.
essentially,
We discussed
click on it,
that,
and it's
yeah.
really,
Start playing
really,
with it.
really straightforward. If not, email me, and I'll loads of stuff.
Thank you. Very, very helpful.
You're welcome. So this is the lab activities. So all of that kind of fluffy stuff so far, great, but the best thing is these smart lab activities. When you open up yours, watch that video. So what this stands for is Lesson Activity Builder. The whole point is that you can create a fun, interactive tool, game, lesson in 2 or 3 minutes, and it's smart. I've done all the pretty stuff in the background,
I'm
but
gonna
you
test
put your
on that.
content in.
2-3 minutes.
Okay? Yeah. Or less than.
Go on then, impress us.
So,
No pressure there.
for example, a fill in the blanks. So coming back to that one that you could just put the text over the top.
Yes.
So if I just make this one, I'm just going to do it as a kind of creation mode, so I'm just going to find it easier here. So what I wanted to do, I want to select that activity, and then here I'm going to enter some text. So what text do I want? Let's go and actually get something from the BBC website.
BBC skills wise, for example.
I was going to, so skills wise, so
Because well,
BBC.
that's dedicated material, but take an article.
Essentially I'm just getting a piece of text. It could be from anywhere. Just get some English, reading. It's not great. I might just get a story just to show. NHS scandal, why not? There we go. So here is my text. I'm going to get that bit there, copy that, open up my smart notebook, paste it in there. Oops, a bit too much with all that. Let's just get rid of that. So there's my text. So I can type that in, whatever it is, and then I'm going to define the blanks. So I want that number there, that number, that number, that one I wanted the whole number, so I'm just going to edit that. Can't quite with the board, my finger's a bit fat today. So I'm going to change that to make that whole text. That one, let's get that one as well. Get that word justice, that one I wanted to make bigger. Thousands, childbirth, click next. Let's have a nice background of some sciencey one, click finish, and there's my game.
If I had a hat, I would eat it. Okay.
Okay, so I've got it. So the 1980s with some, not 90, some with that on there. I think that one goes there. I think that one
Or
goes
if it's
there.
wrong, do you want that's wrong now?
Well, this time, the way I wanted to teach it is just let the children have a go.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So then we check the answers, and surprise, surprise, they're all
Right,
wrong,
that's it.
apart from those two that were right.
Do you know, normally you have to program these things, you've got to download something else, you've got to
I wanted to
do a
edit this
document
task.
with- Oh my goodness.
This one, I wanted to do it instantly. Click next, let's have a different background, finish. So this time, if they get it right, it stays in. If they get it wrong, it jumps back out again. I'm going to try more than 2,000. There you go, it's right. Now, if the students wanted to play this, rather than just me on the board, if you wanted to send it out to all the devices, because on the account I've logged in, I've now got my own code, which is my teacher code, linked to my account. So if the students go to hellosmart.com, they can log in as a guest, or they can log in their own one if they've got their own one. All they need to do is to type in that code, and then when I click start, they will have that on their device. So they can then play this game in front of them, every single one of them all at the same time.
Sorry, they would also have to download a version
Nope.
of.
Nope.
No, it's not
Just
at all.
web browser.
Wow, okay.
Hence why phone, tablet, even a machine around the outside, anything. Obviously on a phone it's a bit small.
So you have to download the teacher's number.
They need to type it in.
That's
Do you want to do it now? Do you want to try it?
wow. Sorry, it's like Google Classroom is.
Google Classroom's
Also
great
good,
for
also
many
good.
things.
No, what I'm saying is it's
But
like
it's that sort of, yeah.
it's bypassing even all the things in the
Yeah.
classroom.
It's just making things. But it's out. So when the students log on and they type in the teacher's number, does that mean that they have access to things after that again with that teacher's number? Or is it a one-off?
This is just a one-off.
If
If you want them to have your lesson and play these games at home for revision, markup and all that sort of side stuff, that's an online version of Smart Notebook, which by the sounds of things I'm doing later on.
sign in. The student signs in with their Microsoft. What about one?
They can do, or if you
Yeah.
just want a one-off, they can just sign in as guest.
Oh, it's guest. I forgot that. Okay, yeah. Let me see. So what do they join the class? So call out the number again.
162
162
353.
That's a good start.
And I
Yeah.
just hit next.
Just to get them settled.
Yeah. That's
And what
guest.
was the
That's
key was?
join as a guest, Brenda, because I've done this before.
Oh, okay.
And you can see we've got my
You
name
can
on it.
name it,
Yes,
his
I'm focused.
name.
You should have downloaded to
So
get
that
all
would
this
be
together.
us as a
And just
teacher
copy
from
it.
This,
here.
yeah, this is a student. now.
Yeah,
I'm a
that
student
website.
training.
Yeah, please. I was just copying it.
Yeah. And this is embedding IT.
That's the one.
Sorry. How can I actually see the possibilities of this?
Yeah, and that's just the fill in the blanks game. There's loads of different ones, and then you can play that game completely independently of everybody else.
And it doesn't send anything back to the teacher at all. It's just literally the students at home.
That's one doesn't. No, there is one that you can do that, or two.
Okay, brilliant.
You've seen this, Tricia.
I have indeed. Okay. Second line.
So that's the fill in the blanks one,
Thank you.
and then
very
you can
much.
see how quickly we made it, and it's just designed to be. You don't want to spend ages making a resource like that.
Exactly.
But the Smart have done, if I like that pretty stuff in the background,
Yeah.
but the content isn't there. The content is up to you to what to deliver. On that Smart Exchange, there are some, and even if it's just ideas of how to use it, but essentially it's, you are making your resources for your children. And to be honest, it's so easy to make. I'm clicking on that pen just to bring up my editing tool.
So the next time I do it.
Even if I just wanted to define the blanks and put in more words, and doing next, and I've got a few extra options here. I can choose as background, or it's just a simple background.
So once again, if I had it on my USB and I uploaded it, could I still put it into there?
Yep. Because what I've got here is a Smart Notebook file, and within this file, I've got all of the stuff that I've made saved. So I just open up the file and it's all there. I mean, I didn't go and make these this morning. I've made these beforehand, so when I come up here for you, it's there.
And that, in particular, say you love one particular game, you can store it on Smart Lab and you can, yeah, it stays on Smart Lab, doesn't it, if you wish?
Lab is just the name of these games,
Yeah.
the lesson activity builder. If I wanted to save this one in my content,
My content,
I can
yeah.
save it in my content.
Everything will go into my content, essentially.
Yeah.
Because what I'm focusing on here is us being able to store everything in one place rather than various places.
Yeah.
So my content could be our go-to.
I'd say my content is mine.
It belongs
Yeah.
to, it's in.
If it's the school stuff, I'd put that on your team's SharePoint.
Sure.
So you could have like lessons, so this is great, or certain games like this, but essentially for even just one like this,
Yeah.
it's so quick and easy to make that you just tell somebody, or you can do it for planets in rank order. Oh yeah. And by the time you've saved it, emailed it, open it, and then you might as well just make a new one. Because all I've done here, just with the editing tool at the top, I've literally just typed in my planets, and that is it. So there's me saying 2 or 3 minutes, 2 or 3 seconds. I'm not quick at that typing, but 30 seconds I could type those in, get them instantly right. Which one? Maybe I'll have the science background for this one. So finish that one, and then I've got this game where I can put them in and it marks them for me. I can then push them out to devices, and the students have got that one, rather than the game we were just playing. But all it is ordering.
Does it work, this is just like a two-dimensional, but does it work with sound and does it work with pictures and other things? Or, for example, an ESOL class where you've got pronunciation exercise, can you do something with that?
No. We have, so Smart Exemplary Educators, we have told Smart we need that. At the top here, it has got a help button. You can submit your submit feature request, and that will go directly to Smart's developers, and they'll say that you want sound for these, and they generally do listen. So, like putting pictures in, you can put a picture for that one, and then join it up to that one, or actually get them right. And that's the way I've designed the game, just so some of that's are wrong. So the moment, there are only certain backgrounds that you can use on there. In Smart 19, which is coming out later on this year, you can actually customise some of these backgrounds as well, and you can put your own picture in and your own stuff like that. So that's on its way. But at the moment, even if it's just a default simple one, rather than doing these again, being more of a primary one, we did those first, and then opened it up so that teachers can put their own content in. But essentially, all it is just a matching activity, and then you can use it even something as simple as that.
Do you know what? You basically beat Padlet as well, because you know Padlet.
Yeah.
It's supposed to do all these things, but it's so complicated sometimes, and takes up so much. I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
There's loads of really good ones like Quizlet and Socrates, and there's brilliant
They're all
ones.
good ones. It's just, if we have this tool, we can do the same things as you're saying
Yeah.
in one tool.
Exactly.
But it's just then coming back to that flow of the lesson. All I'm doing is then clicking onto the next one.
Sorry, this is probably quite for your video, but I was very cynical when I came in, thinking it's another one of those sessions where we're going to have, it's going to save you time and all the rest of it, but actually you proved that it does save you time actually, and it's teacher friendly, because in a way that even Google Classroom isn't. So that's really good.
Exactly. I mean, that's the whole point of it's. But there are quite a few, myself included, ex-teachers working for Smart, and it's that whole point of this is a teaching and learning resource. It's kind of 25-year-old piece of software or more, I can't remember exactly, based on teaching and learning. It's not something we've bolted on as an extra. Yes, it's now a paid-for resource, but that's because we're losing a lot of the cloud-based services, and it's becoming even better, and we're putting more time and energy into it, so it's kind of now it's worth a subscription rather than beforehand it was, well, it's a lot more advanced, that's why there's a subscription in it. This one here, if I start this one, this is a Shout It Out, which is another one of those games. So all this is literally students can shout out their answer all at once. You can write them all on the board, analyse them all later, save them all in silence, which is really useful. So if I start this one, the students on their devices will get a little bar, so you can type it in, and their answers will then display on the board, and you can see them on there. So if I just go back to that preview, this one's called Shout It Out. Shout It Out here, if I click on that preview, so this is my grey screen like on the background, and as students have typed their responses, they can come up here. Or you can choose to send in images. I did this with my year 3s, and we went round and took pictures of right-angled triangles in different places. And then once they'd taken those around the school, we came back to the classroom, and then they sent all their pictures up in there. And if you click on one of those answers, it goes large, and then you can see all of them. It's got a bin as well. So when you say to some students, send anything you want to the board, sometimes their responses are need filtering, should we say. So then those can just be dragged and dropped and put into that bin at the top there, and then those can be got rid of. But there's loads of those different games, so they are just have a play, and they are fantastic.
Can you, something like a running dictation, if you've got 2 teams or 3 teams and they can come and write their own bits on the board, is that possible? Is it possible to do that on one of the pre-selected?
I'm going to say yes. I have no idea. I didn't understand what you said.
Okay.
But what?
So if you've got 3 teams, for example, not speed up rank order, but if you've got 3 teams all running to write things on the board, because they've got to basically come up and read. It's called running dictation. So they read something on the board, then they've got to run back and tell their classmates what they just read, and then the classmates have got to come up and write what they've heard. And
Okay.
they're racing against each other. Each team is racing to put the whole of the dictation on the board.
Right,
Is
I've
it
got you
possible
now.
to do something like that, or using this? So you've got 3 pens running at the same time, and then it would save those 3 different answers. Is it
So
possible
what
to do
this
that?
one does is you can see that it's like a splurge of ideas. So it wouldn't come out in a linear fashion.
Okay.
You could have, for example, them reading it here, dictating to this group, who typed it in, who sent it to the board, and it would come out in their 3 teams in boxes.
Okay.
You could then, as a teacher, arrange those boxes,
Okay.
and that would be fine. So yes,
In theory.
or because you've got a red pen, a black pen, and a purple pen,
Yeah.
you could then just give that pen to each of them. This team could be writing red, this team could be black, and this team could be purple, and they could all be writing at the same time and not interfere with everybody else. So, yeah. Have a play with those, they're really, really good. There's loads of stuff in there. The only other kind of two that I'm looking at is a response 2. Response 2 is sending out a quiz. You can send out multiple choice questions or long answer questions, or let's just see what they are. Poll, fact and opinion, whatever those ones there. You type in your, more of like a test of questions, and then once they're out there, they appear on students' devices, like this. You then get an overview of the percentage of the class that have completed it, including your students and how many have answered of each one. Then once they've finished their assessment, they submit it to you, and then you can export it into Excel. And then you can geek out and analyse that data as much as you wish.
Does it mimic Kahoot?
It's that style of thing, exactly that. But this is for your assessment, quizzy
So
type.
you can create
tests.
questions in that area,
Yes.
and then the student would be on the computer, answer the question, and they'd have the picture.
An internet device. So on a computer, on their phone, wherever.
And it's,
Well, if you add sound and video vision as well, it's a one-stop shop then, isn't it, this thing?
You can add sounds to, like on here, if you have a picture, you can click on the picture and that can add a sound to it, but not within the games yet.
Yeah.
But definitely that'd be really useful.
so can I just start, so then the teacher would then type in the questions here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I've got, I mean, just as an overview here, there's another monster quiz one as well, which is a similar one. The questions go out to devices, but instead of having that kind of like a boring stat on the board, you're hatching the monster. So the more questions you answer,
It's a bit too advanced for adults.
you answer, the monster hatches. So
Okay.
it was great for my year 6s to try and get them for revision at 8 o'clock in the morning. Come and do revision or come and play monster quiz. Essentially, I've put my questions in that I wanted to test them for that day, but just because it was in a monster quiz, almost had a full house. So that response 2,
Smart.
it's all in that little Space Invader type icon. So here, if I just see the questions that I've typed in here. So I had a true and false one. I've got another true and false, multiple choice answers, poll one, and then the last one was an open-ended question. So that one, you just get their responses back. But again, you can add a picture to it, you can add directions to it. Click next, review yours. So it's very much a test, if you like.
So
More
LAB
formal.
stands for Lesson Add-on Builder?
Lesson activity builder,
Activity.
but it's essentially games, if you like, hence the kind of Space Invader type icon. Yeah, so go and have a play. With all of that, there's a Smart Exchange, and so in this file here, I'll just show you the point. There's lots of different training ones, training websites, material stuff. This one here is click a button, and it does this. Click another button, it does that. 20, 30-second videos. You might recognise the person doing those videos, I'm sorry. But there's a support page, which is your kind of 1,000-page manual dumped online. It's got everything in there, but I wouldn't recommend reading all of it. YouTube videos, there's loads of support and stuff on there. Some of them really short, some of them are a lot longer, depending on exactly what you want. Really, really good stuff there, and they're updated regularly. Knowing about all the products, ins and outs of everything that way. This one's quite a good one, this School's Skills Toolkit, this one here. That is kind of, you want to teach maths about angles. Here's a lesson. Oh yeah, and in this lesson you're going to do this bit of smart, this bit of smart, and this bit of smart. And it's kind of how do you, the pedagogy side of things. And there's lots of different videos in there as well. And there's also some online training courses if you wanted to kind of look at it that way. So there's some good stuff. Again, all the links are in there. Or just email me and say, and I'll respond that way. And that web address at the top left is where you download this file.
You know those manuals, are they written for dummies like me? Or are they really kind of technical?
They are written really cleanly,
Okay.
but the thing is, with a 1,000-page manual, you've got to find it first of all. So your answer will probably be 6 or 7 clicks deep, but it's in there.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, I'm thinking of all of us, Mark included, do we want to take a break now?
Yeah.
I've got to go to Pimlico and I'm going to be right back.
Do we want to take a break? I just think you've been talking for an hour
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
and
Got it carried away.
what break, what length will we take, guys, could you decide?
10 minutes?
I'm not sure because I've got to go and check what's happening upstairs.
Can I suggest, sorry, Patricia, please talk.
I've got to go. This
Stop
probably
this
would
now.
be the best time to go now. I want to come back, but what are you going to do between now and lunch?